What you're about to witness isn't just another Smackdown recap. This is the night that WWE crossed a line they can never uncross. The night Paul Heyman, the greatest advocate in professional wrestling history, was left broken, bloodied, and possibly finished. And here's what's going to make your blood boil. WWE just sacrificed their most valuable non-wrestler on the altar of building up two monsters who didn't need this. Yeah, you heard me right. I'm about to expose why this attack on Paul Heyman wasn't just brutal. It was unnecessary, reckless, and honestly, a slap in the face to every fan who's invested in the Bloodline saga for the past 4 years. Stick around because what I'm about to reveal will change how you see this entire angle. This is WrestleScope, and we don't just report the news, we tell you what it really means. Let's get one thing straight from the jump. Paul Heyman is 59 years old. He's not a wrestler. He's not supposed to be taking bumps. He's a talker, a strategist, the wise man. And yet, WWE thought it was perfectly acceptable to have Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, two absolute units who could throw a car through a building, absolutely demolish this man on live television. But here's where it gets even more infuriating. This wasn't done to elevate the Bloodline story. This wasn't done to create some epic WrestleMania moment. This was done to make Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed look like unstoppable monsters. And you know what? They already looked like unstoppable monsters. Bron Breakker has been running through people like a freight train since he got to the main roster. Bronson Reed just put a man through the announcer's table for fun last month. So tell me, why did Paul Heyman need to be the sacrifice? Why did the most over manager in WWE, the man who's been the glue holding the Bloodline narrative together, need to be written off television in the most devastating way possible just to give two already credible stars another notch on their belt? I'll tell you why, and you're not going to like it. Let me paint you the picture of what went down on Smackdown. Paul Heyman comes out, and you can already feel the tension. The wise man is out there alone. No Roman Reigns, no Solo Sikoa, no protection whatsoever. He's vulnerable, and everyone in that arena knows it. Then the music hits, Bron Breakker's theme, and right behind him, Bronson Reed. Two absolute monsters. Combined weight, over 600 pounds of pure destructive force. And they've got their sights set on one target, Paul Heyman. Now here's what makes this so brutal. Heyman tries to talk his way out. He's doing what he does best, using his words as weapons, trying to negotiate, trying to find an angle. But Bron and Bronson, they're not interested in talking. They're interested in destruction. What follows is genuinely difficult to watch. Bron Breakker hits Heyman with a spear that would have broken a normal person in half. The man's 59 years old, and he's taking a spear from a 280-pound former NFL player who moves like he weighs 180. Then Bronson Reed, all 330 pounds of him, climbs to the top rope. You know what's coming. Everyone in that arena knows what's coming. The tsunami. From the top rope, onto Paul Heyman. The medical staff rushed out. Heyman was stretchered out of the arena. And just like that, the wise man was taken off television, possibly for good. Now, let me tell you why this has me, and should have you, absolutely heated. First off, Paul Heyman is not expendable talent. This isn't some random manager they can plug and replace. This is Paul Heyman, the man who managed Brock Lesnar, the man who helped make CM Punk's career, the advocate for Roman Reigns during the greatest title reign in modern WWE history. You don't just throw away that kind of equity for a random Smackdown segment. Second, and this is crucial, Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed did not need this. Let me repeat that louder for the people in the back. They did not need this. Bron Breakker is a second-generation superstar with all the tools. He's got the look, the pedigree, the athleticism, and the intensity. He was already on his way to the main event scene. Bronson Reed has been booked like an unstoppable force for months. He's taken out legends. He's destroyed main eventers. His credibility was already established. So what does attacking Paul Heyman do for them? It gives them heat, sure, but at what cost? You've just removed the most important non-wrestling figure in your biggest storyline. You've taken away Roman Reigns' mouthpiece. You've eliminated the one person who could bridge the gap between the Bloodline's past and whatever's coming next. And speaking of the Bloodline, let's talk about what this means for that entire saga. For nearly 4 years, Paul Heyman has been the voice of reason, the strategist, the wise man who's guided Roman Reigns to historic heights. He's been there through every major moment, every betrayal, every triumph, every tribal chief acknowledgement. The Bloodline story works because of its complexity. It's not just about power. It's about family, loyalty, legacy, and manipulation. Paul Heyman was the puppet master pulling strings behind the scenes. He was the one who could smooth things over with Solo Sikoa. He was the one who could strategize against the Usos. He was the glue. Now he's gone. And for what? So Bron and Bronson could have one big moment on a random Smackdown? Here's what really grinds my gears. WWE has been building to something massive with the Bloodline. Roman Reigns is gone. Solo Sikoa is running wild. Jacob Fatu just arrived. Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga are in the mix. The family is fractured. This is peak storytelling opportunity. This is when you need Paul Heyman most. To navigate the politics, to create the drama, to be the voice that explains the chaos. Instead, WWE wrote him off. And not even for the Bloodline story. For a completely separate angle with two guys who are nowhere near the Bloodline storyline. This is part of a disturbing pattern in WWE, and we need to talk about it. Time and time again, WWE sacrifices long-term storytelling for short-term shock value. They'll throw away months or even years of character development for one viral moment, one trending hashtag, 1 week of social media buzz. Remember when they had Roman Reigns lose to Finn Balor clean as a sheet? Remember when they broke up the Hurt Business for absolutely no reason? Remember when they had Bray Wyatt lose to Goldberg in 4 minutes? WWE has a history of valuing the moment over the momentum. And that's exactly what this is. They wanted a shocking moment. They wanted people talking. They wanted social media to explode with, "Oh my God, did you see what happened to Paul Heyman?" And sure, they got that. Congratulations, WWE. You got your viral moment. But at what cost to your long-term storytelling? At what cost to the Bloodline narrative that's been your most successful angle in a decade? At what cost to Paul Heyman's legacy? Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Roman Reigns. The tribal chief has been away from WWE television, but everyone knows he's coming back. And when he returns, it's going to be massive. The pop is going to be nuclear. The story possibilities are endless. But now he returns to find his wise man has been destroyed. Paul Heyman, the man who stood by his side through everything, has been taken out. And by who? 2 guys who have nothing to do with the Bloodline. This complicates everything. Roman's return should have been about reclaiming his throne, dealing with Solo Sikoa's coup, addressing the new Bloodline members, and re-establishing himself as the tribal chief. Instead, now there's this random Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed subplot that has to be addressed. Don't get me wrong, Roman Reigns getting revenge on these two could be incredible television, but it dilutes the Bloodline story. It adds unnecessary complications to a narrative that was already rich and complex. It's like adding a subplot to The Godfather, where Michael Corleone has to stop and deal with some random street thugs in the middle of his war with the other families. It doesn't enhance the story, it distracts from it. Now, to be fair to Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, they're not the villains here. They're doing their jobs. They're following the script. They went out there and delivered a brutal, effective beatdown that got people talking. From a performance standpoint, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. But that doesn't change the fact that this booking decision was wrong. It's wrong for Paul Heyman. It's wrong for the Bloodline. And honestly, it might even be wrong for Bron and Bronson in the long run. Here's why. When you build someone up by destroying a non-wrestler, especially a beloved figure like Paul Heyman, you're getting heat, but it's the wrong kind of heat. Fans aren't mad at the characters, they're mad at the booking. They're not thinking, wow, Bron and Bronson are such evil bastards, I can't wait to see them get their comeuppance. They're thinking, why did WWE do this? This is stupid. That's go-away heat. That's change the channel heat. That's I'm not invested anymore heat. And that helps no one. If WWE wanted to establish Bron and Bronson as unstoppable forces, have them go through actual wrestlers. Have them destroy former world champions. Have them lay waste at tag teams. Have them dominate in actual wrestling matches. Don't have them beat up a 59-year-old manager who can't fight back. That's not impressive. That's just uncomfortable to watch. So what should WWE have done? How could they have protected Paul Heyman while still elevating Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed? Let me break it down. Option 1. Have them destroy members of the Bloodline. If Bron and Bronson are being positioned as threats, have them take out Tonga Loa and Tama Tonga. Have them send a message to Solo Sikoa by destroying his soldiers. That way, you're building them up as threats to the Bloodline without removing Paul Heyman from the equation. Option 2. Have Paul Heyman escape. Maybe Bron and Bronson come out, surround him, and just as they're about to strike, Solo Sikoa's music hits and the new Bloodline makes the save. Now you've created tension between Solo and Paul, you've established Bron and Bronson as threats, and you've kept Heyman on television to continue his role in the story. Option 3. Don't involve Paul Heyman at all. Have Bron and Bronson go after literally anyone else. There are dozens of wrestlers on the roster who could take this beating and it would make sense. Why does it have to be the 59-year-old non-wrestler? Any of these options would have been better than what we got, because at the end of the day, you could have achieved the same goals without sacrificing Paul Heyman. Let's zoom out for a second and talk about legacy. Paul Heyman is a legend. He's in the conversation for greatest manager of all time, alongside Bobby Heenan and Jimmy Hart. His work with Brock Lesnar is iconic. His ECW legacy is untouchable. His role in the Bloodline story has been Emmy-worthy. And this is how his run ends? Getting demolished by 2 mid-carders on a random Smackdown? That's not how you treat a legend. That's not how you respect someone who's given decades to this business. Even if this isn't the absolute end of Heyman's career, this is how fans are going to remember this chapter. Not the brilliant promos, not the masterful storytelling, but getting destroyed on a stretcher. Paul Heyman deserved better. The fans deserved better. And honestly, the story deserved better. Look, I get it. WWE wants to create shocking moments. They want water cooler conversations. They want social media to blow up. But at some point, you have to ask yourself, at what cost? The attack on Paul Heyman might have given us one viral moment, but it's potentially derailed the most successful storyline in modern WWE. It's removed the most important non-wrestling figure from television. It's sacrificed long-term storytelling for short-term shock value. And it's done all of this to benefit 2 guys who were already credible threats. This is the kind of booking that frustrates fans, not because it's heel heat, not because it's uncomfortable, but because it feels wasteful. It feels short-sighted. It feels like WWE doesn't trust its own long-term storytelling enough to protect the key pieces. Paul Heyman is, or was, one of those key pieces. And now, he's gone, written off in the most brutal way possible. For what? So Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed could have a moment? So WWE could trend on Twitter for a night? The Wiseman is no more, and WWE might have just made one of the biggest booking mistakes of the year. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is all part of some masterful long-term plan that'll pay off in 6 months at WrestleMania. Maybe Paul Heyman's destruction will lead to the most epic Roman Reigns revenge tour we've ever seen. Maybe Bron and Bronson will become the biggest stars in WWE because of this moment. I doubt it, but I hope I'm wrong. Because if I'm right, WWE just traded a Mercedes for a bicycle, and that's not good business, Wiseman or not. So what do you think? Am I overreacting, or did WWE seriously drop the ball here? Do you think this attack on Paul Heyman was justified, or was it a complete waste of one of WWE's most valuable assets? And more importantly, where does the Bloodline story go from here without the Wiseman? I want to hear your takes. Drop a comment right now and let me know if you agree, or if you think I'm completely off base. Let's have a real conversation about this, because this is the kind of decision that shapes WWE's future. And if you're as fired up about this as I am, smash that like button. Seriously, hit it right now. Show WWE that we're paying attention. Show them that we care about long-term storytelling, and that we're not just going to accept whatever shocking moment they throw at us without questioning it. If you're new to WrestleScope, subscribe and turn on those notifications, because we're the channel that's not afraid to tell you the truth about WWE, even when it's uncomfortable. We don't just recap what happened, we analyze what it means, and what it means for you as a fan. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know. Send it to your group chats, post it on your social media, because this conversation is important. This isn't just about one segment on Smackdown. This is about the future of WWE storytelling. This is about whether WWE is going to protect its long-term narratives or continue sacrificing them for viral moments. The Wisemen might be down, but we're not. The conversation continues, the analysis continues, and WrestleScope will be here every step of the way to break it all down. I'm your host, and this has been WrestleScope. Until next time, keep watching, keep questioning, and keep demanding better from WWE. Because we deserve better, Paul Heyman deserved better, and this story deserved better. Now get in those comments. Let's talk.